Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are the three guys from Knowhere. Where's Andy?
I think he got pruned.
Did he get pruned?
Yeah, he got pruned.
Oh my gosh! All right.
All right. Welcome back to the Ritual Chamber. We are apparently right now the two guys from Knowhere. Andy decided to leave, so.
R.I.P. No, I'm just kidding. Andy's still with us.
He's still with us. Yeah, he just decided to leave. But today we are going to talk about Loki.
Yeah. So Loki, I don't know, how you felt about this overall, but I really thought that this was a great series. I mean, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I just want to get your take where you would rank this in at least the MCU's television series that they put out.
In the new television series, out of just three, I mean, it's not really much to really.
But there's good content.
No. I'm just saying it's not like there's a big echelon to rank from, but it's definitely number two. It goes WandaVision, Loki's real close, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier is just trailing back there.
Well, there you go. So I think that in that saying that, I definitely agree with you in that point that it is definitely the second best show. I think obviously Marvel had to start with WandaVision. It was the best introduction into the MCU making a television series. Obviously following that up with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but Loki was surprisingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Overall. So I just think that Tom Hiddleston, I kind of feel about him the way I feel about Scarlett Johansson. I don't think he is somebody that can carry a show by himself. I just don't. And it's not to say that he's not a good actor. I think he's a great actor. I think he plays the role very well. But having a full show, which is 6 episodes, each being an hour long, that's essentially 6 hours that you're watching of something, which could be equated to 3 movies.
A little longer, actually, because I think the second to last episode was a little longer.
Might have been a little bit longer. But to have just Tom Hiddleston be the guy that's going to carry the show, obviously he wasn't, because there was a great supporting cast in this show as well. But yeah, I was a little hesitant about it. So it's just kind of...
I get that, because I was actually a little bit like, why are they doing a Loki show? But then you remember that Tom Hiddleston and Loki have been a mainstay of the MCU since the second movie.
Yes,
I don't know if it was it the second or was Thor the third? That I can't remember.
I think Thor was the...
Because I thought it was Iron Man. I think it was Iron Man 2. No, Iron Man 2. Then Thor.
Then Captain
America.
Then
Avengers.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong, but that's right. That's the order of events as I seem to kind of remember them.
Don't judge our timeline, okay?
Yeah.
If you guys want to judge it, that's fine.
Ours is not the sacred timeline.
You could put out a counter video. That is right.
Yeah,
that is
the
TVA came in on our timeline. So, that being said, just kind of getting into this show, a couple things that I really enjoyed about it. Obviously, bringing in Sylvie, I thought was a great character. I love this concept of exploring this idea of multiple timelines. And, you have this concept where there's...
Even if some of the ways they confront it is a little wonky.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I'm no astrophysicist, or nor am I I'm not Carl Sagan. I don't quite understand. You could explain it to me all day that time is a flat circle and everything all happening at once. Nope,
yeah.
brain. Nope.
So it's not above your pay grade.
It's way above my
your pay grade. Okay. I kind of felt the same way with this, and I think that kind of going into it, coming to the concept of the multiverse, I thought it was really interesting to see how Marvel had kind of started to gradually introduce this concept, but with this show, they fully dived into the concept of this is the multiverse.
Yeah,
this is what to expect.
Yeah, because you kind of had the Ancient One's explanation in Endgame about how branching timelines, and again, even this one, even the sacred timeline and stuff. I read one thing that if you are a fourth dimensional being like that, and again, you're viewing time kind of as everything's happening at once. It's not like a long strip that's just one timeline. It's like a rope. There you can have diverging timelines, and they explain that by pruning when something doesn't go right. But yeah, way fucking above my pay grade. I mean, I will say this though, that going back to my thing about Loki and Tom Hiddleston being a mainstay of the MCU since damn near the beginning, it was surprising that this was a show they were going to go with. And yeah, like, just kind of like you, like, I didn't know, like, why are we doing a Loki show? Obviously, at the end of Endgame, with him escaping with the Tesseract, you knew that's what it was going to be. It was going to have to do something with that. But, like, what was that going to be? And nowhere in my wildest imagination did I think we were going to get the show we got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that was another thing that I really enjoyed about this show, was this concept of Loki's kind of, because again, what we have to consider is that this is not the Loki that we knew in the universe that introduced him.
Well, it is. It's just an earlier Loki.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And again, we've come to know the Loki that went through, which in a way he did in this movie or in this show as well, like by watching his timeline. But we've gotten to know what he went through during Thor: The Dark World, which everyone says sucks, and I disagree because that movie's awesome. Not awesome, but it's good.
It's good.
It doesn't deserve nearly as much flack as a lot of people give it.
Absolutely, I agree.
I will understand that it has I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a quick tangent. I understand it has like one of the most forgettable villains in all the Marvel moviedom.
Absolutely.
However, it's a fucking really good movie. But the events of that movie, the events of Ragnarok, and then his turn in Endgame. We've grown with this character, and he's grown as a lot of his character. But you're stepping into this show, and that was the thing I was kind of curious about. You're stepping into the show with a earlier version of Loki that has yet to go through all that stuff.
Through all that character development, really heavy character development.
And I think Tom Hiddleston, where he really shined was, especially in the show, was the scene after he watched his timeline and watched how it ends, and watched how his actions and his interaction. I mean, quite honestly, the best part of the show was the buddy cop dynamic with him and
Owen Wilson,
and
absolutely,
Mobius, because you got this very, their banter was hilarious. I mean, like, Owen Wilson just had like the best looking lines and comebacks to everything he said. But you have that really cool moment of Tom Hiddleston. It's a really good acting moment as well, of him just realizing who he's really been, not the ego inflated
God of mischief,
or the rightful king and the burn of the glorious purpose. Of him sitting and realizing that, like, no matter what he's done, he's only caused pain, and he thinks he's doing the right thing, but he realizes, and seeing basically where the timeline of his life, of where it goes, and especially Mobius being very
blunt with
him about how he's the one who kills his mom, and that's the way it happens. It's the way it happens again and again, and it's because that's the way it's supposed to happen, because you cause pain.
Yeah, and I think just touching on Owen Wilson, like, he, it's so funny because I rant a lot on our show about,
you don't like the dumb guys,
about how I don't like actors that can't get outside of their scope of acting. But there's something about Owen Wilson that is just so likable. When he plays these characters, to me, I think the reason why I like it is because it's so genuine. It's just so genuinely
he is actually really a good actor, though. I mean, he's been in a ton of movies.
He's great. And
independent films, like all of the Wes Anderson films that he did.
Absolutely,
like Royal Tenenbaums, still one of my favorite movies ever. Life Aquatic. He's a really fantastic actor.
Well, and I think that's why you can see
he is mostly known for that kind of dopey.
Exactly, and that's why you could see him, because it's so genuine. You could see him. That's the role that he always takes on. But it's because he's such a good actor, it doesn't get tired.
No, and even to that point, like I was saying, their banter, they're like that buddy cop dynamic. It seems so natural. Nothing seemed forced.
It's great. I mean, they had some of the best dialogue in that show that I'd seen in a lot of these Marvel shows that were released. I really loved the two of them playing off each other, and especially kind of coming back to what
Loki's ruining his lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's interesting to see that the character dynamic, because obviously Mobius has this big idea of like the TVA and protecting the TVA, but then he kind of finds himself having like a real a real connection with somebody else.
Yeah.
Being Loki, not just like this is somebody that we need to prune to take out of a timeline.
Yeah,
like this is somebody
he's full on indoctrinated into the dogma.
Exactly, and I think it's great, and that coming back to that, the way that those characters played off each other is really, like you said, what led Loki to like realizing like I am a problem, and Mobius kind of just being like, hey man, like I'm your friend. And I'm trying to help you realize that you're the problem, and like that you can be better and you can do better, and then Loki,
and it grows that way. It grows that way naturally.
And then Loki, in turn, coming to Mobius and saying, "Hey, what you're doing is not right, and I'm your friend, and I want you to be better." And it's this really great dynamic that was created in this show that was completely unexpected. That turned out really great, and it was a great thing to watch. Like it's Marvel just continues to kill it with what they're doing.
And to that point as well, the show being so much about relationships. I mean, let's talk about Loki and Sylvie.
Yeah.
And I love it was a relationship that was so kind of weird,
But it's not.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's really not,
right? Because it's like.
Well, I mean, it can't be incestual when it's yourself. It's just extremely
right. That's what I'm saying. It's extremely narcissistic.
It's like Moby says. It's so. It's like, what an unbelievable narcissist. But again, it's a theme. It's a theme that's kind of running through the show of him not realizing the actual kind of person he is, and him weirdly, it's like total therapy moment, like learning to love himself.
No,
you know what I mean?
Think about that.
He's learning to love himself, which is
thus
really making him a better person. Mm-hmm. Just kind of in the way in the normal MCU timeline, him learning that he loves his family, or kind of coming to that realization, which again, the events of Thor: The Dark World and Ragnarok, that he loves his family and he's not really alone. He does really have this family. Mm-hmm. That the Thor really is his brother, which is expressed by old Loki later. Mm-hmm. That he missed his brother.
Yeah.
Then that's what got him pruned, was because he stepped off his little planet.
Mm-hmm. Which is a funny point, because as you say that, and not really having thought about it that way, about him learning how to love himself through not himself physically, but a version of himself.
Yeah.
Which also kind of brings out a good point without jumping too much, but realistically at the end of the show, he's also the person that causes the most harm to himself, if you think about it in that way.
How so?
Because Sylvie is the one that decides not to take the deal.
Yeah, true.
So
True.
By if you're doing that by proxy, he's also causing harm.
Yeah.
So I don't think, kind of an interesting way to think about that, right?
And it's I think it's sort of the inverse of that character growth in our Loki versus the Sylvie Loki. I mean, even Immortus says it. The one who remains.
Yes.
It's Immortus. It's Immortus. It's Kane. Which we'll talk about that in a second. In a little bit. But when he says, "Grow up, Sylvie," like what are you going to gain from killing me?
Yeah.
But yeah, and them fighting it out for her again to get her glorious purpose.
Yeah, which is what he essentially said, that he doesn't want that anymore. Yeah. That he's found his purpose. That he wants to rule with, again, himself, but a better version of himself, a version of himself that has made him find a better version of himself. It's really kind of a strange dynamic. I really would
I think he's grown so much that he actually cares what Immortus is telling him is that they can protect everybody from a much greater threat.
Yes.
And that's where the growth comes in of learning to love himself and learning to appreciate. I mean, even a lot of the conversations they have on the train where he's talking about his mother and learning magic and stuff. And
there were some great moments there.
A lot of great moments. But I think that's another thing. He then kind of becomes more concerned with, I don't want to say the greater good, but definitely concerned with others. It's like the old saying, you can't love anybody unless you love yourself.
Yeah.
Well, he's learning to love himself. Thus, he learns in a kind of a I don't want to say not philanthropic, but like in a more grand scheme type way, love for everybody else, and he doesn't want to subjugate people. He doesn't want to rule them.
Definitely.
He wants to protect them.
Yeah. And I think that's a great concept that they explore in the show. Is realistically the concept of you don't understand the harm that you cause to other people, and through your actions. And in this show, obviously him getting to see what he was doing as he thought was like kind of playful, even the scene with Sif. Well, it was a joke, right? But he doesn't realize
which was nice that it was like a little hell loop.
He didn't realize how much harm it caused her until he had to relive it. Who knows how many times?
That was a funny scene. But actually, so real quick before we move on, another little theme I just realized, it hit my brain like lightning. The end of the sacred timeline gives people free will.
Yeah.
What is Loki said is the biggest lie in the world? Free will.
Free will. Yeah.
It's his fucking thesis. Like it's straight up his thesis. Like that's what he like. I mean, even if he's coming at it from a good place, like that's literally his thesis. He can be like, yeah, we can like just protect the sacred timeline and make sure we don't have another big bad or big big threat.
Variations,
but it's his fucking thesis.
But maybe that's the reason why he wants to take control of that.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, I think he's doing it for the right reasons.
The right reasons.
But like he does. I don't think he realizes that at that time. But it's just something. Again, lightning struck my brain, and it just made me realize that.
So going into that, one concept that I liked about this show that always fascinates me is this concept of multiverses and time travel,
predetermination.
Yes, exactly. And what this show explored really well that I thought was very fascinating was this concept of literally the end of time. Yeah. So when you get to the Immortus.
Yeah, it's Immortus. Just call him Immortus.
What do they call him?
It was the one who remains, I think.
The one who remains. Okay. So when you get to the one who remains, who eventually, obviously, everybody knows is going to be King the Conqueror. If you don't know at this point, sorry, spoiler alert, but you should have known.
Or if you knew at episode 2.
Well, whatever. If you knew at episode 2. But
I'm sorry. Like,
I love this.
Once you introduced time travel in Endgame, I knew King was coming.
But that's true. You did.
Right.
But I love this concept of where they basically get to the end of the timeline.
They get to the end of the universe. Yeah.
Yes, and Immortus shows them. I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were going to say this. It's all scripted. He has it there.
Yeah.
And then that moment where he drops the pen and he goes, oh, I don't know what's going to happen from here on out.
We just passed the threshold.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is kind of a crazy concept to me because is there really an end in time? Like, when this show explores that concept, time doesn't... Because if you have these branches, right, that go off, eventually all those lead to an endpoint, right?
I mean, that's the idea.
Per the concept of the show, until there's one decision that you don't know that can change the end of time, right?
Yeah. Again.
But that's why this was
however,
great, though.
Have you seen this? Apparently, the last episode of WandaVision and the last episode of Loki sync up to where when Scarlet Witch becomes Scarlet Witch. That's when he says, we just crossed the threshold. And then he drops the pen, and that's when Agatha drops.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it on the internet. I haven't done the research and watched them both myself. But it's funny because it's so many people have been getting...
That's really clever writing.
It's, well, not even... I mean, look, it's the MCU. They kind of don't do anything by accident. So,
that's true.
That's true. And it's totally a Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of the Oz type thing, which is funny since that a lot of people compared
did
Loki.
You make a Pink Floyd reference on the show right now? I mean, love Pink Floyd. So.
Dark Side of the Moon, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I like some Pink Floyd.
All right.
I don't love them, but
Time is.
But Welcome to the Machine is like one of my favorite songs of all time.
Time. We're literally talking about time.
Time is good.
Time
is good.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway. But yeah, apparently they sync up. I haven't done like the research of actually watching it because I don't have. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how.
You have to have multiple screens.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. I don't know where you sync it. Yeah. Is it when the lion roars the third time? Or
so you're talking about like per hours and minutes into the show?
No, just okay. Yeah, like no.
That would be even crazier.
But just that episode.
Okay,
like, I think that's from what I understand. Okay. Which is funny, that given that so many links have been made to Loki and Wizard of Oz. But a friend of mine brought up a very, very good point that it's not just a comparison to Wizard of Oz. It's a comparison to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, definitely. You could absolutely see that in there. Yeah, and I mean, and it is a little bit of Wizard of Oz too, obviously, because once they get past Alioth, where do they go? You find out, who's behind the curtain.
Go behind
you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I kudos again, just to kind of marvel how they managed to recreate things. I think storytelling is such a fascinating thing because it's like, how do you reintroduce a new concept but make it seem new, make it fresh? And they've continued to do these things. I mean, WandaVision was a perfect concept of you're literally watching them go through genres and years
eras
of television, but it still came off fresh. And this, again, because I got the sense less of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, more definitely of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But still, at that end when they get through, I'm like, man, that is fresh. And just them to get to Immortus was a great scene. And I want to hear your take on this. Like, I thought when Immortus came in, I had this like, oh shit moment, and I was like, when you're introducing a new big bad, I think it gets a little worrisome. When they introduced Josh Brolin as Thanos, I thought it was done very well. They have him sitting on the throne right there, like, all right, cool, we're gonna go. Like, we have to go into this war. Right? We have to like engage in this war now. Like, stones are being found out. He knows what he's going for. Like, we're gonna start engaging.
Was that him in Guardians?
I think it was him in Guardians.
I know it wasn't him in Avengers.
It wasn't him in Avengers, no. Because in Avengers, they only had him. It was
just turns his face.
It was just a face, but it wasn't like
profile.
It wasn't like CGI'd to like Josh Brolin's face. I don't think.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
It was much more like rough looking.
Ooh, I wonder if they George Lucas that.
They might have.
They may have George Lucas that. Anyways, so
I haven't
watched their first Avengers in a long time.
You introduce now Kang the Conqueror in a different form, obviously, and
one of his many.
It was
which was great the way they explained that.
Fantastic though. I mean, like when you're introducing a character of that magnitude, I was a little nervous, but that whole scene with Sylvie, Loki, and Immortus was fantastic. I thought it was so well done.
It's funny because the finale was both amazing and also kind of underwhelming because I think, again, like I said, episode 2 or 3, whatever, I knew it was going to be Kang at the end. Like it was like there was no way it wasn't going to be Kang. I'm glad we got Immortus, the more benevolent version of Kang.
Yes, a little bit more grounded.
A little more grounded.
Get into that.
But also, but also really, he really, and I know some people don't like that Matrix Reloaded, let's do an exposition dump at the end type of thing. And it is very confusing. I think it's explained a lot better in this than it was in Matrix Reloaded. Even though I understand everything they said in Matrix Reloaded, it's not that difficult.
He doesn't.
But even comparing it to Matrix Reloaded, he's basically telling them the exact same thing the architect is saying in Matrix Reloaded, that it's been a time loop. This has happened. This has all happened before. This is all gonna happen again.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying that.
But yeah, no, and I love that concept of one thing that I thought was great about the character of Immortus was when they asked him, well, why give it to us? And he's like, I'm tired. I'm old. I'm tired. Like, I've done this multiple times. I've seen this multiple times. And kind of this concept again of like time and like just what like that's money.
Damn it, you're right.
Anyway, but that's also good. Sorry to throw you off. just if you were able, like, from an outside perspective, to kind of know everything that was going on, like, how tired of would you be trying to get to protect this idea of having this constant thing, play out the way that you think is the best version of it.
Yeah.
And
again,
him wanting to pass the reins on, but it's a very fascinating show. And I loved the way that they explored the concept of time and, different universes in the show was done so well, because it really, I think, if you watch this and you're not really diving into what the show is about, this is an enjoyable show. But if you really are interested in the concepts that the show is trying to exploit, it's
you know what I mean? For sure. And I know some people have said, like, oh, they were confused by it, and especially with more shows. Well, we're kind of getting away from it now, but we've gotten used to, in the last 10 years roughly, of bingeable TV. That you just something's released on Netflix or Prime, and even though Prime's even getting away from it, you can just watch every episode. One night, bang it out. And that got very tiresome because...
Absolutely.
I mean, I've binged Lucifer like 5 times, but that's one of my favorite shows of all time. However, like, there's been a lot of shows that it's just... it sucks because you can't stop yourself from doing it.
Yeah,
you really can't. It sucks.
Absolutely.
It's like the worst double-edged sword ever. Like, I want to savor it. I don't want to binge it, but then... Fuck yeah! Next episode,
you get that hook. You get that hook, and you're a fucking big fish in a small pond. You're like, you got me. You
got that hook, and you're like, can't get some more. Can't get some more, please. Can't get some more, please. For sure. But the episodic, the way they've been releasing these Disney Plus shows, and again a lot of the Prime shows, I love the weekly release schedule, because it gives me something to look forward to. It gives me something to ruminate about during the week. Something to think about, something to, again, like, if you're into the themes, then you can take a dive into some Carl Sagan, Carl Sagan stuff, and
absolutely,
and some time theory, and again, way the fuck over my head. However, the fuck was my point? However, I know some people were like, oh, I was so confused, and I get that, I get it, you kind of didn't understand what the hell was going on, because it does play a little fast and loose with how the sacred timeline works.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little bit fast and loose, and again, having a kid Loki who killed Thor, having the boastful Loki who killed the Avengers during the Battle of New York, and then having old man Loki who went through everything that
and just wanted to be isolated
and just wanted to be alone. Realized he's done nothing but cause pain.
Exactly. And I think that was a good turning point for Loki, too.
No, 100%.
Was their conversation.
100%.
And him telling him, like, hey, I've just caused pain, so I just went off on my own and just
Kid Loki said, even though I don't know what Kid Loki did that tried to, like, make himself better, because he literally says, I killed Thor.
Yeah.
But he says, like, every time one of us tries to be better, and even, like, the President Loki, I mean, like, clearly, like, a bunch of those weren't, like, trying to be better. But he says that, and it's... So, again, there's sort of some fast and loose rule playing, but...
I had a light bulb moment, because I just kind of thought about it as, like, the Lokis, as they all get pruned and they go to this particular area... They're essentially like the island of misfit toys.
No, for sure, 100%.
Right? Like, what a good reference, right? Misfit toys, God of Mischief. That's a great...
My favorite freaking line is he's like, and I don't think I haven't noticed there's an alligator Loki, which I'm sad to report. I'm not even surprised. That was like, I died laughing at that line. By the way, another friend of mine had a good show idea. Yoki. The Adventures of Alligator Loki and Baby Yoda.
Oh my gosh. Wolf,
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Disney, if you want to pick that up, I guess. I don't know. Talk to Jeff's buddy, so I don't know. I'm not going to... I might sit out on this one. For anybody who watches our podcast, make sure to do this with your, those things that they attach beers to save the fish. I mean, it's still plastic, so it's still harmful, but fish don't get caught in these.
No. Or turtles.
Or turtles. Especially, I mean, I think a turtle would be too big to get caught in this. But if it was,
but it could get one. paw? Is it turtle?
Oh,
foot
shit.
paw?
That's a good question.
But is that a paw?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is that a murder of turtles?
Murder of turtles.
Murder of turtles?
Or would it be a pod of turtles?
Maybe. Sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm not the genius.
You don't say.
Yeah. Also, I'll tell you whatever I need to tell you. Okay. So, we're back. Well, yeah.
We're back.
We're back.
From the alternate timeline.
From the alternate timeline. So, speaking of the alternate Lokis, we gotta talk about Sylvie.
Absolutely.
And her character arc. I learned that she like just had a baby, like right before filming, and like they kind of she started like fit in that tight ass suit. Impressive.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't know that. So
she was really like. We've seen in the comics female Lokis.
Yes.
A female Loki before, a female version after, was it after Siege? Or was it before Siege?
I think it was after.
before, no, it was before Siege.
Was it before
Siege?
Siege?
It was before Siege. I think he became a man again before Siege.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Because I know when the Cabal started in the Dark Reign, she was a woman. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I gotta reread Siege. That was a good book.
It was a good book.
It was a
good book. Yeah, it really was.
I actually remember a friend of mine, real quick aside, when he was, back when I was still reading comics, he was like, what's going on with Siege? Because he wasn't, like, he was into comic book stuff, but, like, didn't really read. And, you see the ads or whatever on, like, Facebook or whatever. And, he's like, what's going on with Siege? I'm like, oh, man, like, Siege is amazing. Anywho. So, which I really hope we get one day, like a some kind of Siege storyline in the MCU.
I mean, the opportunity's there, especially...
Yeah, because they have New Asgard.
Exactly, exactly. They have New Asgard. So, yeah. I mean, like, given everything that they've done cinematically,
yeah.
it doesn't... I don't think it'll pop off as a major storyline, but might pop off as like a small storyline that they could
maybe
they could explore.
Could be in a show, could be
absolutely.
One of the Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anywho, now we're talking about Sylvie.
Yes.
Sylvie. Great character. What did you think her Nexus event was?
Oh, I think her Nexus event was them meeting.
No. I'm saying when she was a kid and she got taken. What do you think her Nexus event was?
I have no idea.
So I at one point thought
that's a good question.
So sad. If it was so sad that it was just like she was just playing with the wrong toys. Then I heard a theory that yes, she's playing with the wrong toys, but in that moment when she's playing with her Valkyrie toy and the dragon, I think it was, that's like in her own mind she decided to want to be a Valkyrie. Okay. Instead of being the god of mischief, and that's why she got pruned, that's why she got taken.
So
to be pruned,
yeah. And as you were saying that, I would agree with that because I think that her idea was to be a Valkyrie, which is obviously the strongest of the female warriors in Asgard.
Yeah.
So you saying that, I definitely agree with that, and that's an interesting concept to explore.
Which makes it even sadder when Ravonna doesn't remember. Says she doesn't remember.
Yeah, but she remembers.
Yeah, she.
No, that is a good concept, and again, like just to how well this show is done. I love that they explore these concepts and kind of Sylvie's whole character is really based on the concept that something has been taken away from her.
Yeah,
and that she wants this opportunity back. And, maybe that was why she was so upset, was because she had this idea of what she wanted to become. Mm-hmm. And realistically, then now if you put it that way, which is a great theory, she really does become a Valkyrie at the end. Because,
in a way, yeah.
100%. In a way, it kind of slays the dragon, if you will.
Yeah. And, again, the people who grow up dealing with regret or dealing with, say, childhood trauma, it was a really good way of dealing with that. Maybe not so murdery, but
childhood trauma should not always end that way.
No, maybe not. But I think the way that actress, and sorry, I don't know her name, played it was so earnest and so honest about just being a pissed off adult because of their stolen childhood. And you know, again, you are a child who grew up with abuse, or you know, broken up family, or whatever. Sometimes it can feel that way, and you just end up being angry. And the way she played that, even to kind of what we were saying earlier about the ending, you know, of her choosing to follow through with her mission.
Yeah.
And because again, she's not the Loki we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really, really good.
No, yeah, really, really powerful act.
And again, also,
there.
I think, again, speaking to what we talked about earlier about Loki learning self-love through this very narcissistic infatuation or love for literally a female version of himself, I don't think she ever really... She might have been, like, crushing on him a little bit, or maybe, like, kind of had some reciprocal feelings. Mm-hmm. But because of her nature and her past and the mission she's basically been on for her entire life, she doesn't know what that is. Mm-hmm. And so that's what makes her make that choice at the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, kind of a funny thing that they explore in this is really that Loki uses everybody as a means to an end.
Yeah.
Right? And then Loki, as we know Loki, has this relationship with her that he's like, I just want to do this with you. And then what happens is she ends up using him as a means.
And he even lies about it. About it was always part of my plan. You know, when they get back to the TVA and he's being interrogated by Mobius, like it was manipulation. I was using her for my ultimate gain, but realistically, that's him trying to steal himself and protect himself or protect her. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's what she does. And she even, I think, even at one point, even says like she's worried about him stabbing her in the back. Mm-hmm. But and like I don't think she really stabs him in the back. But again, she uses him to her own end.
Yeah. She definitely. I mean, she could have definitely stabbed him in the back. Literally. I mean, that's kind of what happens with
literally stabbed people in the back.
Yeah, but I agree. Like it's like a non. It's not like a definitive thing.
No.
She does, but she doesn't. It's very like impartial.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, and again, like I said,
it's
the someone who's literally grew up in apocalypses and has been hiding in apocalypses, and that's all she knows.
It's kind
I don't think she understands. I don't think she understands what she's feeling.
Yeah.
So she might actually feel it, but I don't think she really understands that she feels it.
Yeah. So. No, that's good. So I think let's wrap this up with Kang, or with Immortus and Kang, and then we'll get into our 12 monkeys. So again, Immortus, I still feel that he is going to be a halfway villain in the MCU to a bigger reveal. Because I just think that Doctor Doom is gonna be the inevitable, and it makes most sense in the story that they're trying to do right now. Obviously, Marvel has acquired the rights to everything Marvel. Well, I mean, Disney has acquired the rights to everything Marvel, more or less. Partnerships and things like that, whatever. But I really feel like Doctor Doom makes the most sense, especially if you're following this character of Kang and just Kang's relationship to Doctor Doom in the comics and how that all works out. But that being said, Kang was a fantastic introduction.
It was a fantastic way to introduce him.
Yes,
not this
what
menacing,
we're going forward with.
This menacing. Like, because that's kind of what I expected. I knew it was going to be Kang, or at least a version of Kang. Maybe Eric the Red. No, Eric the Red was. Never mind. One of because there's a million different fucking. There's like so many different versions. There's a ton. Or I figured it was gonna be like the Council of Kangs. Or
Council of Kangs would have made more sense, especially with the timekeepers. That would have made more sense. Absolutely.
And you might be right. I think now going forward in the MCU, we might be past a multi-phase type of big bad. We might not be. Who knows? But I mean, again, like I knew it when Endgame came out, and the King was going to be the next big bad. Would I like to be Doctor Doom? Sure. However, I think Kang makes the most sense right now in where we're going.
Absolutely. Right now, absolutely. But again, like, I think the MCU was really built on this concept initially before it got so big of this idea of being like, okay, we're going to create a story, and Thanos is the end game. He's the end game boss, right? Literally. Yeah. And they had all these movies that tied in with him being like, this is the final confrontation. And I just think that the success of the MCU is done so well that now they can explore the possibilities of being like, we're going to introduce another great character, but he's not the real end game boss.
No, for sure. Like, yeah, like
they can explore that opportunity.
It's a longer way of saying what I basically just said, but because we've already known for a while that Jonathan Majors was cast as Kang in Quantumania.
Yeah, and
we've known that for a while.
He did a great job in this series.
No, 100%.
This is the first.
But I'm just saying we've known that for a while. So when that elevator opens and it's Jonathan Majors, I was like,
eating an apple.
I'm like, oh, I've been right this whole time. And his portrayal of Kang was great. Like, kind of a little bit of a, just making a DC reference, Mr. Mixelplick.
Oh yeah,
very just kind of quirky, very kind of, I've been he says I've been doing this for a long time, and I've lived millions of lifetimes.
Well, with that being said, we're gonna wrap this up with our rating on Loki, and you know what? I am going to give this one 11 out of 12 monkeys. Okay. Because I do agree with our missing comrade right here who got pruned, Andy.
That's why he got pruned, though. He disagreed with me.
That 12 Monkeys is really reserved for what I think is like top notch.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and in this show, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it was great. The acting was great. Supporting cast was great. Owen Wilson just being Owen Wilson, doing what he's always done, but just amazing. And I really loved like the dynamic between Mobius and Loki. I thought was such a fun character development. Mm-hmm. I really loved that at the end where they kind of give each other a hug and they like Loki's like, oh, my friend, and you're my friend, and him Loki coming to this realization that like he has never had friends. He's never had people that he cared about. He's never had people that he was willing to like sacrifice his own self for. And even when he gets betrayed by Sylvie and he's broken down, he realizes that he has a friend in Mobius. Yeah. And it's just to show that strong like character development for such a selfish character coming to that fruition was great, and I thought it was really fantastic. So again, 11 out of 12 monkeys. This was a fantastic series. MCU just has been killing it. They've just been so good. It's been enjoyable. All of it's been enjoyable. I can't wait to see what comes next.
I'm giving it 11 as well. Quite honestly, the only reason I would give it 12 if it had like 2 more episodes.
That's always your thing.
It is because
that's
6 episodes. Like I understand these are basically just long movies. Uh-huh. We're not doing the full season. It's not it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it's 24 episodes or a normal. Well, you know what I mean, like a normal television.
I'm just saying, that would be exhausting.
No, I know. And quite honestly, that would get
24 really episodes boring. To get to Kang.
It'd get really boring.
I'd be like, come on, man. How many timelines can you split off into?
But like 2 more episodes somewhere in the middle there.
Okay.
Would have been nice. Again, to what you said, the acting was amazing. I think I disagree with you. I think Tom Hiddleston is actually a great actor. I think he's.
I'm not saying that he's not. He just can't carry a show.
Well, he can clearly.
All right.
I mean, am I wrong?
I don't know.
What we're talking about.
Hey, you let us know.
This is what we're talking about.
You let us know.
Like, did he not carry the show? Yes.
I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. But so I'm high. His confused voice is the exact same thing as his Seth Rogen impression, his Michael Cera impression apparently.
Oh.
But no, it was great. Like the acting was great. I think Tom Hiddleston's just nails. I mean, he just nails that character. I mean,
he really does.
In every he's been the mainstay of the Marvel universe since the third movie, and has just brought his all. I mean, he's even said like because they're now the MCU, the Marvel Studios, they're done with long-term contracts. Basically, they're just kind of like, you want to keep going, we'll let you keep going. That's amazing because you have these actors now, and I think I said this during our Captain America Winter Soldier episode, where we're kind of like left now where the old guard is gone, minus Chris Hemsworth, but Chris Hemsworth said he's going to keep doing Thor until they tell him to stop.
Yeah.
We're basically now in the MCU where no one wants to stop doing it. They all love it. Robert Downey Jr. obviously he even was supposed to stop before Civil War. I mean, and he just kept going. It's like his drug as Iron Man in the MCU. He just needs to be Iron Man, and he needed to be Iron Man. Finally, R.I.P. Tony Stark. But
yeah, absolutely.
Owen Wilson was amazing. I think the cinematography was just top notch.
It was really good.
Like across the board. There's some shots that can make you dizzy and whatever, but I like that stuff. I like very avant-garde. I like that avant-garde sort of way of filming and rotating the camera and doing Dutch angles for the right reasons and stuff like that.
Well, now you're getting too crazy.
Yeah, sorry. My little cinematography nerd just popped out and said a thing that Josh doesn't know. But
I guess.
But 11 Monkeys, and also again with just how this is setting up our next phase of the MCU.
Just looking, I can't wait. So much forward to it. Yeah, I can't wait to see where the MCU is going. So with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Going forward, I guess it's just gonna be Jeff and myself.
Two guys.
Two guys from Knowhere. We might change the name, but the Instagram will still be the same. The YouTube channel will still be the same.
We'll keep calling it Three Guys from Knowhere.
So please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button.
As of now, this is the third guy.
Yes, right there. And if you guys have any comments, I know we did this last one, which I really enjoyed, was doing Scott Pilgrim that we put up. If you guys really enjoyed that one and you guys want to see us like recount on some older stuff, we love doing that. So just go ahead and put that in the comments there, and we'll go ahead and riff about anything you guys want to talk about. But again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and have a good night. Oh, Andy, where did you? Oh, is he back? I don't know.
No, if he was back, I'd be like all the way over here.
All right.